Hey, yeah,
That's hilarious.
great minds think alike, right?
Yeah, we're out here in California.
Oh, are you really? Oh, you are. Yeah,
Yeah,
I am too. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It was one of those days where I felt like I could either go long sleeve or short sleeve, and I decided to go hat and long sleeve. I just kind of felt like it should be a wintry day, and so I'm faking like it is.
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, yeah.
How
I'm the same. I'm doing okay. I'm just recuperating from a little cold, but I'm fine.
Dude, I can't think of one person who I've talked to who did not get sick right around New Year's, and me included. I'm getting over the same thing myself, and it's been horrid. Yeah, but it seems to be on the up and up now. Are you feeling any better?
Yeah, yeah. I am. Yeah, I'm getting through it. Yeah, I think I'll just another day or so, and I'll be fine.
Gotcha.
So,
Well,
so
dude,
today,
today I was just gonna chat some WordPress. You've already taken a class with Laura on this stuff. I was just gonna do like a getting started, like a hey, here's how you spin up a brand new site. Here's kind of what the directories look like. Here's what you would need to pay attention to. Here's what you should and shouldn't touch. And then let's spin it up on a local install and see what we get right out of the box, and then what kind of advanced things we have to look forward to.
cool.
Have you done that sort of stuff with Laura already? I would imagine so, because you're doing some actual theme development stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
But maybe is what I'll do is I'll just if you're gonna do like a video recording thing,
yeah,
I'll just kind of put it in the background
that's
and
awesome.
listen in while I work here.
Awesome. I will do exactly that, man. That said, I'll go ahead and share my screen here. You can watch along, and let's do that. Cool. So, WordPress, we've all heard about it in some way, shape, or form. It powers like blah, 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 20 some odd percent of the web, and this and that. But at the same time, it can be a little confusing to get into. There is a difference, first off, between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. Um, Sometimes, let me hide some of these other things so that we can just have a more plain view of what's happening. But when we talk about WordPress, there's the product side of it, where you can create a brand new website for free, just like it says. You click a button, you go through a few steps, and then before you know it, you have a website live online and ready to populate content with. Pretty slick. And that's how a lot of people get their website started up in like 5 minutes. It's really super simple. But then notice that there's a difference here between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. WordPress.org is the open source equivalent of WordPress.com, meaning that whatever software WordPress is and that they are using on WordPress.com, they decided to make free for anyone to have and to use at their discretion. It's really cool. You can even go over to GitHub and make contributions to the future of WordPress, and many people see that as a really noble thing to do. But we're more concerned with WordPress.org because it allows us to download the exact same engine that WordPress uses on its profit-driven website here, and to use it for our own benefit on our own server. And that's really the big difference here between WordPress.com and WordPress.org, is that when you start a website on WordPress.com, you are on the WordPress.com servers. Basically, this isn't WordPress is created by a company called Automatic. Kind of a play on words from the creator, Matt Mullenweg. But the idea here is that when you create a website on WordPress.com, all the content, all the files, all the images, everything that you upload is being uploaded to Automatic servers. That's not a bad thing. It's just that's the way it is. If you want more control and to own the files and the software and everything else that's going into your site, you can download it right here from WordPress.org, which we will do right here. When you first come to WordPress.org, you'll see this nice handy button here that says download WordPress, and then it usually gives the most current version here. And when you click that, it actually takes you to another screen where you can download the zip file. And once we and so what we're going to do in this walkthrough is talk about, well, we're going to download the zip file, we're going to open it up, and we're going to try to spin up a fresh website just based off of what they give us right here, just a right out of the box installation of WordPress. WordPress does provide a really awesome guide for how to set this stuff up. In fact, they call it their famous 5-minute installation. Yeah, if you know what you're doing, it can easily take as few as 5 minutes. But at the same time, there's some more stuff involved that you might need to go into, and there's a great bit of documentation right here on this page that walks you through all the nits, or like all the grittiness of what goes into installing WordPress, and all this stuff looks super haunting, super complicated, and yeah, I've never read through all this stuff myself. It's kind of weird. But at the base of it, there's this 5-minute installation section that is literally just this portion of it and nothing else. And this will get you up and running without any hiccups in just a few minutes. If you need to do more customized installations, maybe more complicated server installs or whatever, then there are detailed instructions that cover this stuff in more depth. But for our sake, let's kind of do this ourselves without the instructions, because that's what we can do. I'm going to go ahead and download WordPress right here. It just takes a few seconds. And when I do, it's on my desktop, and I'll just have to drag it on over here. We can open it up and see that there's this nice new folder called WordPress now. And now that I think about it, I should probably have just a simpler background for future screencasts and stuff, because all this busyness might be hard to read. Anyway, this does say WordPress, and when we open it up, these are all the files that come included with WordPress. And some of these things, again, look really daunting. Like, what is all this, like, WP cron, and oh my gosh, there's a license. Do I have to really worry about that? What's this activate? Do I need to open any of this? The answer is no. Don't worry about this stuff right now. In fact, it's kind of fun to pick this stuff apart a little bit and just know what it is in general. So I'm going to minimize this window, kind of boost this stuff up a bit. I can't zoom in on that. I'm sorry. But looking into this, there are 3 things to note in a WordPress installation when it comes to these files, and it's the WP config sample file, the WP content folder, and then everything else that is not those two things. So this selected area right here is what we call WordPress core. WordPress core means this is the core functionality of WordPress. It cannot run without all of these files right here. And editing any of these files is considered bad practice, because the next time that WordPress updates and you download the update, it'll override whatever changes you made. So making changes within WordPress core, not a great idea unless you super know what you're doing and you're really careful about backing up your changes and saving your changes and all that. But it's actually kind of freeing and liberating to know that, hey, I'm not supposed to touch any of this stuff, because that means you can really only, you really only have to focus on these 2 files right here, the WP config sample and the WP content. So we'll go over the WP content in depth once we've installed our site a bit further, because this is where, as the title suggests, all of our content files and everything else lives. So let's take a look at the WP config sample file. I'm going to go ahead and just open this up in an editor. Can bump this up a bit more, and you'll see just a bunch of gibberish, right? I mean, this is just a bunch of PHP that is, hard to read if you're not familiar with PHP, and I'm not an expert on it in any means. So But this is the important block to look at right here when it comes to setting up WordPress. We need to have a database established, and we'll provide the name for it here. That database has a username, which we'll provide here, and then a password, which we'll set here. And what this file is doing is allowing us to connect WordPress to our server so that it can run all of its operations. And this is the login, you can say, the really ugly looking login form for WordPress to get into your server so that it can execute its actions. So let's close this, because the important thing to note here is that right now it's called WP config sample. So this is just a sample file that WordPress provides. What I typically like to do is make a duplicate of that file. So I'll just go and right click on it, click the duplicate option, and that gives me, let's expand this a bit if I can. Yeah, so that just gives me a straight up copy of it, and I rename it. I take out the sample portion of it, so it's just WP config. That is my config file. So when I set up my server, my database username, and my password, I'm gonna edit that file, and I should be good to go. So that leads naturally to the next thing is like, holy crap, I have to start a server? What does that mean? Oh my gosh, that's so crazy, right? Well, if you have hosting, that is your server. You would upload WordPress to your server and edit your WP config file, enter your server settings in there, and then you would be good to go. But we're going to be doing this on a local installation, which means on my computer as opposed to online. I like working locally on WordPress because it's a good testing ground for anything that I want to customize or change or play with before I deploy it or publish it in an online live environment. If you're getting into WordPress, I would highly recommend doing the same thing, because it's not fun to edit a live site and break something on it and then not know what you broke and have a dead website. So so developing locally is a good way to avoid that, and we're going to do that right now. If you actually check out, there is a service called MAMP. And MAMP is the go-to way to create a server on your computer. MAMP, yeah, there's a free version of it. You can download it right here. There's a trial version of MAMP Pro. MAMP Pro, the only difference is that you can set up custom domain names for your local installations. MAMP, everything goes through a URL called localhost. Either way is totally fine. I already have MAMP Pro installed, so that's what I'm going to be using here. So I'm going to go ahead and fire that up right now. And when I do, let's see, let's go ahead and head on there. It's hiding from me somewhere. Just need to look for it. Oh boy. Where did you go, MAMP? Well, I'm going to quit and then restart it up. Oh, I see, it's frozen. So that's a good way to start things, right? With frozen stuff. So I'm going to force quit that. And let's give it another try. Okay, it's fired up. It takes a second to load. And you can see I have a list of sites in here that I'm currently playing with. But let's go ahead and create a brand new site in here. And for what it's worth, if you're using the free version of MAMP, your server name will just be called localhost. I'm going to do something a little different and call mine just like a site, or we'll just call it WordPress. How about that? WordPress.ev. That sounds fancy. So we'll save that. Oh, I need to point it somewhere. You know, I'm doing a bad job here. I'm going to revert what I've done here. And what I should have done up front, and I'm sorry for not being more organized on this. I keep a folder on my computer with a directory of all the sites that I work on here, just called sites. I'm going to just go ahead and create a new folder in there, call it WordPress. And then I'm going to drop in all my files into that folder. And this is going to be my new website in here. And again, I'm sorry for the lack of organization here, but just to recap, I'm creating a brand new website folder called WordPress and just dragging all the WordPress files in there. So again, you can still see my WP config file, the sample file, and all the other core files that we covered before. And so now when we go into MAMP and we set up a server, I can actually point this to that directory. And that's why I needed to do that first. So here we go. I'm going to tell it to that when this server file fires up, to look specifically in this folder, which I will choose here. Click Save. So now that is my server. So we have a server. That's fantastic. We can technically spin up WordPress, but if we try to go to this URL, wordpress.dev on our site, we're going to get this fancy message. Error establishing a database connection. Ugh, that's so crappy, right? And that's because we haven't filled in our login form from WP config. So let's go ahead and take let's go back into that. In my text editor here, I'm going to go to the directory where I created the website folder. So WordPress, the WP config file that we had before. And then it says here that I need to enter a database name and a username and a password for it. So you're probably thinking, well, I have a server, but I don't have a database, and that's totally true. You would need to set up a database so that WordPress can store all the content that you publish to it. We can do that. With MAMP, you can, there's this handy button here for web start. When we click here, boy, my screen is getting all busy. I'm sorry about that. So we have this nice thing, and we have tools. We can go to PHP my admin, and this gives you a list of databases in the side here. And what we want to do is basically just add a new database to it. So clicking new in the sidebar here will give us this option to create a database. I'm just going to call this one, something like WordPress test. Just hit create. That's all I did. And I'm technically done. I don't really need to do anything else with that. So I'm not going to do anything else with that, in fact. That is my database now. So when I go to fill in the form from WP config, I can say that WordPress _test is my database name. Now, username and password are a little tricky here because we're working locally. We really don't have a username or password. There's probably a way to set that in MAMP, or if you use a program such as SQL Pro or something like that, you can do that sort of thing. But just because we're working locally right now through a local host sort of a setup, your username and password are just root. So you don't have to change anything, but just put root and root. Save that. And yeah, that's really, I think, all we need to do. So if we head back to our broken database connection, let me go back to that. So MAMP, let's go back to our site here. Oh, that's perfect. We no longer get that crappy database error message, and instead we have this welcome message, which says, welcome to the famous 5-minute WordPress installation process. And it's like, oh, funny, I thought I was already in that. We've already spent 5 minutes on this. Okay, so there's more to do? Yeah, we have to give our website a name. Let's just call this CSS Tricks Rules or something like that. Oh man, my punctuation is so bad. Surprised anyone lets me write on that site at all. Give ourselves a username. I'm Geoff, so that sounds good to me. And a password. Oh my God, that looks really crazy. It's cool that they offer that. But for right now, I'm just going to put S123 in there just because this is a demo. And it's going to say this is a very weak password. Yeah, it totally is. And in fact, they want me to confirm the fact that I'm using a weak password. So it's nice that they do that. You can set your email in here. Just go and put my address in there, and you can even set your search engine visibility for your site right here. And the only option here is to either discourage or allow search engines from being able to search the site. Since we're working locally on our computers, doesn't really make a difference. But if we were intending for this website to go onto a hosting server, then yeah, we would totally want to be careful about which option we choose. If this is more of a private site, yeah, let's discourage search engines from indexing it. But if we want people to find the site through search engines, yeah, let's leave that unchecked. So with that, let's click Install WordPress. And it says, whoa, success. That's what I like to see. Great. So now is the only other option is to log in. And when we do, we can log in with what we did before. I think it was just test 1, 2, 3. Log in. And bingo, we have WordPress. You kind of might be thinking from this point, like, that's kind of ugly. That's not like, that doesn't look like a website. Whoa, I just closed everything. So yeah, that really doesn't look like a website, does it? Yeah, that's very true. But here are a couple of things. This is really the back end of your website, meaning when you go to your own website, you would expect, maybe a navigation, your content, and all this stuff, and not all this, gibberish and whatnot. So this is where you're going to control all the content of the website. So we'll get back to the back end of the website shortly. But I think it's more important to see the front end of it. WordPress has what's called the admin bar at the very top, this black strip along the top of the screen, and it just provides some handy links up top. So, for example, you can add a new post, a new media file page, or even register a new user from right here in the bar. You can moderate comments if we had any right here, or you can hover over right here and get a quick link to your website. Let's click on that, and here's our website. It comes complete with a hello world, the title of our site, and then the very first post with a sidebar of different things. And it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. This is WordPress's default 2016 theme. Now let's talk about themes for just a second, because themes are what represent the front end of your website. WordPress itself is this. So when we talk about the back end of your website, we're talking about WordPress, the WordPress admin, the dashboard. This is it. When we talk about theming WordPress, we're talking about styling and laying out the front end of it, and that's when and that's where themes come in. And by default, WordPress comes with a theme called 2016, which is appropriate because every year they come out with a new theme that's pretty clean and standard to like a generic website of sorts. So they have a 2015, 2014, 2013, all the way back to quite a ways back theme. And in fact, many of those are installed in WordPress here. If we go to our dashboard again, which we can quickly get to right here in the top admin bar, we can go to Appearance, Themes, and see the different themes that are already installed in our site. So currently active is 2016, but they've also installed their previous 2015 and 2014 default themes for us too. So for example, let's go ahead and open up the site in another tab. If this is our 2016 theme, or our site using the 2016 theme, then when we switch to 2015, just by clicking the Activate button and refreshing our site, the site looks different. And that's a pretty cool looking one too. That is just how easy it is to switch appearances in WordPress. And one of the things that makes WordPress so great is that you can add as many themes as you want. And there's a huge market of free themes that you can look for. There are so many of them. You just Google around for free WordPress themes and you'll probably find a million different options. Or you could look to a theme marketplace, and there are ones, there are really popular ones around there, like Theme Forest or Envato or Just trying to think of some ones I've seen in the past, up themes or perhaps rescue themes. Some really cool marketplaces to look at where you can pay for premium themes, download those and upload them here to your, or install them to WordPress and have them available here to activate and switch to. So that is the very quick crash course on themes. We're going to talk about those a little more before the session is up. But I'm just going to go ahead and reactivate 2016 since that's what's default, and we're talking about defaults for the moment. Go back home to our dashboard, come back to our site, refresh, and we're back in 2016. Sounds like a Back to the Future episode or something. Excuse me. Yeah, I guess if I wanted to show you anything else about the installation before we get started, it's the last part of what we didn't cover in the directory of WordPress. So remember, we talked about the WP config, WP content, and then all the core files that we're not supposed to touch. Well, we've talked about everything except for WP content specifically. So let's dig in there a little bit, because this is totally game to edit, and this is where you will find, and as a WordPress developer, where you're going to be spending a bunch of your time. And by default, when we first open it up, we'll see that there are 2 directories in there, in addition to an index.php file. Index.php, nothing you need to worry about, but plugins and themes are. In fact, we just talked about themes, and you can see the themes that were installed there listed here very nicely. Here's the 2015, 2014, and 2016, of course, by alphabetical order. And that's how we are able to switch between themes inside of WordPress, because we have them installed here in this directory. If we were to download other themes, we could drag them right in here, and then they would also appear in our WordPress dashboard under Appearance Themes. And by that same token, you can search for, or I'm sorry, not search for new themes. You can add new themes with this button at the very top, and see that there are a bunch of free themes right here that you can go ahead and install, or you can preview them from right there. Another way to do this, I believe, is to upload the theme directly to your server without having to manually go in and drag it into a folder on your desktop or on your server itself. And so when you download a theme from most vendors, it will include a zip file. And that zip file you can upload right here by clicking the upload. You can just choose the file, select it, click install now, and then it too will be included in your list of installed themes, and you can activate it from there, clicking the activate button. Very straightforward. It really depends on how you prefer to install themes. You can do it directly through your WordPress admin right here, or you can do it manually by unzipping it from the zip file and then dragging the directory for it right here in the themes folder that lives in the WP content directory. So that's one half of what we're looking at in WP content. The other half is plugins. Plugins are little additional bits of functionality that we add to the site to make it do different things, right? So one example is, let's say we want to, well, we can go to our installed plugins right now by going to plugins, install plugins, and we'll see that these 2 come installed by default. Akismet is one that is used for spam filtering when it comes to comments on your pages and posts. It's a free, it's a donation service that you can activate. But you can donate nothing at all and still register this plugin if you would like. The other one is a token Hello Dolly one that does absolutely nothing. But you can keep it there if you want. It's just it's been there since the beginning of time, and just remains there as an artifact of WordPress of sorts. I technically tend to delete it because I'm just one of those people. This is actually a good point here. Connection information. I have not done. If you run into a thing like this, it means that the permissions on your folders are set in such a way that you cannot, or that WordPress cannot make modifications to this directory here. So since we're working locally, one way to do this would be to change the permissions of those folders, which we can change directly in MAMP. We could change these to, I mean, there are best practices as far as creating a secure site and making sure you do things in a legit way. I'm just going to do this for the sake of demo and make sure that, you know, I'm just opening up all the files. This is not what you would want to do in production, because giving people all read, write, and execute access on your server is a recipe for getting hacked. But for the sake of demo and restarting this stuff, I'm going to go right into here, delete this file now, and now that message doesn't show up anymore. So there we have it. We can now start installing new plugins. We could write our own plugins, but just for the sake of a demo, we're not going to go over writing plugins. If you want to look at writing plugins, there are some good articles, not just in the WordPress Codex, which, by the way, let's link to, because the Codex is everything you could possibly want to know about WordPress. And I will drop this into the Slack channel a bit later. But this is basically the documentation for WordPress from A to Z. Everything from getting started to writing your own plugins and everything in between. So just a good bookmark to have at your disposal. But there are also good articles for writing plugins right on CSS Tricks and other tutorial sites throughout the web. So definitely worth looking into. But when we're talking about plugins, we're talking about the things that we install to the plugins directory of our site right here. And just like themes, we can add them manually by downloading a zip file and extracting it and dragging it right here into our plugins folder. Or just like themes, we can click Add New and install this way. Yeah, so this is a whole plugin store of sorts. You can also go to WordPress.org/plugins. You can see where I've been lately here. And you see kind of a similar thing, and you can search for plugins this way as well. But you can also do this directly from your WordPress admin, and that's pretty rad. So we're not going to install a new plugin right now because we haven't fully covered the defaults of WordPress, and I want to make sure we do that before we talk about customizing functionalities first. So let's go back to our dashboard here and just know that these are the two folders that come within WP content that you have for controlling the front end of your website. And plugins can have some back-end functionality too, but just want to point out that that this is where you would add that stuff. That said, when we upload files to the site, we have this tab called Media. And if we go to our library, there's nothing in there currently. If we were to add something in there, and yeah, let's go ahead and do something like that. Where's a good place to get images? Geez. Hey, I saw Parker. You joined the chat in there. How are you, dude?
Good. Are you picking up my mic?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I feel like I've been typing and interrupting.
Oh no! Oh no! You haven't been disturbing at all. I thought you meant just being able to hear you when you talk. Sorry, dude. No. Just wanted to say hi and see and just see if you had any recommendations for like where to grab a photo.
Grab a photo on Unbound. Yeah, that's a good one.
Unbound?
Yeah.
Cool. Unbound.com or something, or .net?
Try that. Try unbound.com.
All right, let's try that. Books are now in your hands.
Okay, maybe that's...
Well, you know, it's okay, though. We'll just...
A simple Google image search will do it.
Oh, okay, cool.
What do you
well, I'm just... I'm just going to drag this bad guy here on my desktop and use him. Just going to call this like a test. And so now when we're in the media library, we can add new. And what's really cool in more recent versions of WordPress, you can just drag and drop, which is fantastic. You can see it's right in there, and it's already been uploaded. Nothing to worry about. We can click through to it.
Multiples.
Yes, you can do multiples. That's exactly right. You can select several off your desktop and drag them right there, and you'll just see them load one at a time. Super awesome. I love it. You can edit the file right here by WordPress has a built-in caption functionality, so that if you wanted to add a caption to a photo within a post, you could have a default caption for it right here. The alt text, provide a description for it. You can even edit it right here. You can do all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, and then your image is available to you. And so now when we head back to our directory here, oh, magically we have a third item here. So there's plugins, themes, and now uploads. And by default, when we click on here, WordPress will index these by year. So it'll start with 2016, then tell me what month, and then you'll see I only uploaded one file, but there are three. The default WordPress themes have some functions for creating multiple versions, or multiple sizes, I should say, of the same image. So you can see that while this image here is a 300 by 168 at its full size, this also created a 300 width and a 150 width, so that we could use a little bit of art direction within our post if we really wanted to, or if we wanted to call a specific image using a WordPress filter, we could request the thumbnail, medium, or full sizes of them right there.
Geoff, is there a protocol to raising my hand or something? I don't want to interrupt you continually.
Oh yeah, no. You can totally stay unmuted if you'd like. If you hover over the video screen, you'll get some additional options at the very top. Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, and
quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's new responsive image into WordPress. Do you know much about that, or?
Yeah, I've been digging into it a little bit. It's awesome. And for those who don't know, instead of using just the default image tag for embedding images inside of a post, it now uses picture, which is very cool because that opens up some possibilities for art direction, or creating or for delivering the right sized image. And when I say size, not just dimension-wise, but file weight as well, to the right devices based on some queries that are set right on the picture element itself. It's very cool. I don't know a whole heck of a lot about it, but I wouldn't mind jumping ahead a little bit here and just on posts. WordPress is for those getting caught up here, it was built to be a blogging platform. So the first primary use case for it is to create blog posts. And so that's why we see posts here at the very top. We can get a listing of all of our posts right here. When we do, there's the hello world that was automatically included for us on the front end. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and edit that post. And when I do, there is an option to add media. I can go to my media library and select what I've already chosen. And I can even select what size it was. Remember, there were 3 options in there. Let's just go ahead and, well, I mean, we already have the 300. The full size is the 300. That's pretty funny that they created 2 of the same sizes there. And then you can link to a specific thing when you drop it in. You can align the image left, right, center, or none, whatever there. And we can just drop it into the post right there and see it. If we were to go into source view right here, text view, oh, this is still in image. I wonder if there's something else to that, if there's some way to activate that. I haven't personally gone through that, so maybe it's under the media options or something. That would be interesting. I guess to answer your question, Parker, I don't know a whole heck of a lot about it.
Neither do I. I just
Yeah.
don't want to send us down a rabbit hole.
No, totally. You know what? That would make a great office hours session next. I'm going to make a note of that because who knows? Maybe I'll do that as one of my next office hours. So WP picture. That's a cool one for office hours.
I'll note that I don't, for small sites, I don't have them organize it month and year. It's just easier for me.
Yes, yeah, and that was the next option I was going to look at right here, which is you saw the file structure right here, uploads 2016, January, and then the files in there. If we were to uncheck this, save the changes, now they all get dropped into the same folder, the same file. I don't know if it updates all of them from there, but if it did, it would probably be that we would have to refresh the directory in some way. But let's go ahead and go to Media, Add New. Let's grab another image from somewhere. We're going to let's go to WordPress itself. Just grab an image or something. Responsive.png, that sounds awesome. Let's use that one. So I'm going to upload. I'm going to refresh this first just because we changed settings. Going to drop the file in there. It dropped it in. So now when we go in there, yep, we can see that the 3 versions for this image are now just directly in the uploads directory as opposed to being broken out into multiple subdirectories like that. And that's totally like a flavor choice. In fact, I think CSS Tricks itself is still ordered by date in some way. Just like you, Parker, I tend to disable that, especially on smaller sites. But yeah, if you have a large site and you're going to be managing a lot of media, sometimes it really does help to have things organized in that kind of way. So far, when it comes to the dashboard, and I'm surprised I haven't mentioned this yet, but let's go ahead and log out. Let's say you log out, you're totally out of your site now, and you're like, okay, I'm done for the day, right? How do you get back to your site? You know, it's like, what just happened? You know, how did I get back to WordPress again? You might know what your website URL is. So in this case, it was like what WordPress dev, and then I had the 8888, whatever. This will take me to the front end of my website, but I don't have those handy admin bars up there anymore, and that kind of sucks. So getting back into it, you can always find your way back by going to WP-admin. That will actually redirect you to the login form where we can log back in with the information we did before, and now we're instantly back into WordPress. And so from there, we have posts, media, pages, comments. We've gone through appearance and plugins, already done media. What I also want to show you are the settings because with the last few minutes we have of office hours, I think that's probably the most important thing that we can cover. You should know what the defaults of WordPress are and how to customize them for your sake. So if we go to the general settings, you'll see that this is where we can edit the site title if we want to. The tagline again is used by default right here underneath in the default WordPress themes. Many themes don't have a tagline, so sometimes it doesn't matter what's entered in here, but sometimes it does. So so if you're creating a theme of your own, or you've downloaded a premium theme from a site and they use a tagline, this is where you would be able to edit it. This is your site address and URL. You can change the email of your admin account, which is what we registered when we first installed WordPress. You can set membership on your site so that if people who want to comment and become a member of the site want to, then they can become users of your site and would be added right here in the users tab, and you can manage them from there. You can set the time zone of your site, and you know, you have your basic UTC offsets, but then you can select a certain specific city if you want. Oh my God, there are just so many. Kind of makes my head turn. I happen to be in the Los Angeles area, so I'm going to go ahead and select that so that I'm in PST. And then you can even do your date formats. Date formats, this will format the date across the site. So like right here on the front, January 8th, 2016. You can see that's exactly the way it is here. If I wanted to do it in some other format, I could save changes here, refresh this, and now my date format has changed. And then similarly, you can do a custom format. And custom format is pretty cool because you can make this kind of your own thing. And WordPress does include a nice handy link to the documentation for the formatting right here, and see all the legend for what all the different initials stand for. So in some case, we might let's say we want something like the 3-letter name of the week. Day and the year. I don't know. Geez, I'm probably spending too much time on this, but let's say we want the day. So we'll say, yeah, 1 through 31 sounds good without the leading 0. So that's going to be J, and then year is going to be I want 4 year, yeah, capital Y. So D J capital Y. And maybe I even want a comma in there to separate things out a bit. So now when I come back here, it's in my Friday 8th, 2016. So just a cool way to be able to customize things even further from what the default settings are. And from there, you can do the same thing with time. You can set what day of the week your site starts on. I technically like Sundays, even though I consider that part of the weekend. I like having it there. And then you can even change languages for WordPress on your site right here. WordPress includes a bunch of language files by default, as you can see here. And in fact, editing WordPress language files might be another good office hours session because that can get really tricky too. But just know that this is where you can change the default language of your website. If you've already written posts in English, it doesn't mean that it's going to translate those for you. It just means that everything in the back end of WordPress here and the things that the themes have made translatable will translate on the front end. So yeah, we can save our changes here. Those are our general settings. We can look at writing settings. You can set a default post category. I don't have any categories on the site right now. We can create categories by going to post categories. But right now, the default post category is uncategorized unless we were to have other categories already created and were to set it as otherwise. WordPress has different types of post formats, and we can talk about that at some point in time, but when we create a new post, you can have a different sort of format for it. And so let's say you primarily post images on your site. This is more of an image blog. Well, you can just set your default format to images so that you don't have to constantly change it from time to time. Kind of like the Tumblr effect of WordPress. You can set your mail server stuff here. Like let's say you have very specific server settings for email. You could do that stuff right here. Let's say you pass everything through Gmail. You could set that stuff here too. Reading settings. Sometimes it's like, well, I don't really like that to be, this to be the front page of my website. I want something else. And what we can do is we can create a brand new page. We can say like my home page or something. Say welcome. I can't type. Hit publish. And so now when we refresh our settings screen here, we can say, no, I don't want the latest post to be my front page. I want a different page instead, and I want it to be my home page. And you can click Save Changes, and now when we refresh here, my home page is going to be the home page for my website. So just a quick way of doing that. But let's say we, so we have a blog post page. Let's make that our front page again. And by default, this will show the 10 latest posts at most before it starts paginating. You can set that to any number of posts instead. Let's say you only want 3 posts because you have longer posts, or let's say you only want the most recent post. You could set it this way by increasing or decreasing the number respectively. And same for RSS. You can send, when people subscribe to the RSS feed of your site, which, by the way, is available right here just by adding /feed at the end. Oh, gosh, I thought that was true. Maybe it's /RSS. It's not. I don't know. Well, I'll have to figure that part out. I'm just a liar all the way around. They might even provide a link to it somewhere else. But anyway, you can, when people first subscribe to your site through RSS, you can set the number of articles that, or the maximum number of articles that will show at any given time. And then here's again where we can set the search engine visibility that we set when we first installed the website. We have discussion settings. This is for moderation as far as people being able to comment on our posts. So for example, if we go back to our site, we go to our Hello World post, you can see that there's one comment on there already. It's a sample post, and it tells us that we can delete it if we would like. Other people can post, and we can change these settings right here. We can say, yeah, we can. Gosh, some of these things are just so like I've honestly never really looked at, and just don't know if I've ever toggled them in my life. But notifying any blogs linked to the article to be able to have a ping number. I think that these to call this pinging sites. I don't know how in fashion that is anymore, but that's where. But this is where you can set that. Oh yeah, here's pingbacks and trackbacks. So maybe that's something else right here. You can allow people to post comments on new articles. If we uncheck that, then people would no longer have this option down here. You can also create some I guess identity settings here for people being able to converse on your site, which is allowing them to, or which is enforcing that they must provide a name and email. They must be a registered user. You can automatically close comments that are older than a certain number of days. You can create a max number of times that comments nest, which means that they get deeper and deeper and deeper in indent. You can paginate or create where comments should start paginating, and then even set the order of whether the oldest or the newest ones show up top. And then you can also set your own notification settings for being alerted whenever someone posts a content or whenever a comment is ready to be moderated. Depending on the activity of your site, that can be a good thing or a very annoying thing, whichever one. You can even set comments to be approved by you before they get published on the site. And there's this handy one here where if someone who is commenting has a previously approved comment, to go ahead and automatically approve their stuff, because it's just you know, maybe you already trust people who have been accepted once before. And then from here we just have some additional comments for moderation. You know, you can blacklist certain people in there, which means just not allow them whatsoever. You know, kind of pinpoint people. And WordPress even it allows you to show the avatars, so the pictures that show up next to people's names here. You can set that to either show or not show. You can even select which avatar shows up by default, and then even set like, well, I don't care if there are nude avatars. I guess I don't know. That's I just tend to keep things right where they're at, right there, because I've never had a problem with avatars either displaying or not being displayed on my sites. And just a heads up before we kind of wrap things up in a few minutes here. WordPress, I should say the company behind WordPress, Automatic, is also behind the Gravatar site, which allows you to manage which allows you to manage avatars universally from this one site. So if you have a registered email address in Gravatar that has an avatar associated to it, then that avatar will automatically be integrated into WordPress whenever you leave a comment on a WordPress site. So that's just one of the conveniences that WordPress offers right there. The last couple of things we have are media and permalinks. We already kind of went over media. You can change your default sizes for the generated photos right here. And just like we covered already, we can organize uploads or keep them all in the same level directory from right here and save the changes. And this is another key thing to remember: save changes whenever you can. It's easy to miss that blue button, or if you've customized your settings, it could be a red button, whatever. But it's easy to miss that, and so just make sure you do save your changes.
I think it might be worth noting that I haven't tested this, but if you just put 0 in all those thumbnail sizes,
yeah,
it won't generate any additional.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah,
that would be worth trying out for sure. I'm gonna give that a shot right after the call here and check that out, because
I usually just put the 1.5 times what I want size in and just expect that to be used.
Yeah, exactly. If if your responsive image strategy is to use mid-width 100%, and you can just use the 1.5 times thing, and that's a perfectly viable way to do it without having to overload your server with a bunch of different file sizes. Absolutely, that's super smart. Thanks, dude. Yeah, and permalinks. Permalinks, that's a funny word for just like URLs. So like, for example, a permalink to this post right here is this right here. It's gosh, this is so gnarly looking, right? It's like /index.php/2016-01-08 blah blah blah. And that's because we have it set that way right here as this sort of like custom structure. I don't even know why this is a custom structure. I didn't put that in there. That must be a cool, weird default. But if we were to use plain, which is usually what I'm familiar with being the default and save changes, I believe this will, well, all of a sudden it's not found anymore. If we refresh this, go here, you'll see that now my permalink has changed to this weird like PHP generated p = 1 type thing. I'm not a big fan of the default plain. I tend to use post name structure because what this is called in the WordPress world are pretty permalinks. It means it's a bit more searchable for like search engines to discover and find. It's they call that search engine optimization kind of a thing, and then it's also just easy for people to remember because it just automatically takes the name of the post itself. So if we were to go back to our homepage and click here, our URL is now just our website /hello-world, and that is the name of the post, and just the hyphens separating words in the title and skipping past any special characters like exclamation points. So yeah, you could do a custom structure, and for those you can do some interesting things. You can provide a category base if you want, because if we have categories for our posts, by default it would show the name of that category. Well, we can change that name if we want it to, and the same goes for tags as well. This has just been a real like 101 crash course on WordPress. We've really like barely scratched the surface of how awesome it is and what's available in it. Obviously, if you're familiar with it, you're probably going, oh, we probably should have covered this or that. Given that we have an hour, yeah, I feel like we covered quite a bit of ground. I guess the only parting thing I would leave with is this Updates tab. Whenever WordPress has an update available, it'll list it here. You'll oftentimes get like a little notification up here, or like a little red or blue circle right here that tells you how many updates are available, and then it'll tell you what's available to update. You can select those items, click update, and then it'll all process from right here. Similarly, you can go to, let's say you have plugins that are available to update. You could go to your install plugins, and if there's an update available, it would list it right here in the bottom, and you can click update, and it'll generate right there. Same goes with themes too, for themes that have registered updates. So all that. I've gone a little bit over my time, but I saw part of that is like my poor organization with getting started. Isaac, Parker, did you guys have any questions as far as WordPress 101 goes? Parker, you had some really great tips in there. So I'm not sure you have 101 questions, but I'd be happy to field any that you have.
No 101 questions. I left you a little message in Slack Valley area as well, and maybe we could talk about doing some work together sometime.
Absolutely, cool, dude. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is Isaac. I know you were just kind of listening and watching in the background. If you're still listening right there, was there anything you had in mind before we part?
No, not really. I wasn't able to listen to every little detail, but what I did hear was really nice, and I'd just be interested. I barely caught that little part about the images, and I'm starting to work more and more with images. And if you had any feedback on basic, uploading images and what you do for getting, having your clients upload images and things like that, and resizing them. If you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, in fact, you know what? Looking at the upcoming office hours schedule, WordPress is something that most of us on the CSS Tricks team use personally, and we just tend to rely on it heavily. So we may be really skewed in our topics in that sense. But I do believe that there's a Timber session coming up with Laura on the 20th, where she will get more into the development and customization and of WordPress. And then beyond that, on the very following week, on the 27th, she's going to be doing a WordPress deployment workflow. And that's going to be super helpful for you, because when it comes to delivering a website that might have some images that don't need to change versus ones that might need to change, you might set up your theme directory a little differently when you ship to a customer based on what the preferences for those modifications are. So I tend to think of the media library as anything that's going to be used as in a page or post that's editable right there in WordPress. And then anything that's like towards the more theme driven, as far as it's meant to be part of the structure of the theme itself, I tend to code directly into the theme itself without having any modifications. And that's more of a safeguard for clients being able to inadvertently mess something up. But then again, if you want to give them that level of control, then there are ways of doing it through the media library for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Geoff, do you think there are any plugins that a 101 level person should be aware of?
Oh, good question. Absolutely. I see. Yeah. In fact, let's go to the. I'm going to share my screen again, just because I think that's the easiest way to look at it. If we look over at plugins, add new, WordPress by default shows you some of the most popular ones right here. Jetpack is a huge one, and Jetpack it says Jetpack by WordPress.com, and that's the WordPress.com part is key, because WordPress, or the Automatic team, the company that's behind WordPress, they have continually developed on top of their own system, and not all of those features have made their way into WordPress.org, and some of that is because you can only accomplish that through a server. And so what Jetpack will do will add some of the features from WordPress.com that might not be available in default WordPress, from the open source version of it, and connect those features to it. So things such as like social media sharing, some analytics stuff, widgets and sidebar visibility type things. Those are all super handy. And in fact, even though this is one plugin, if you look at it in detail, it's a lot more than that. So let's go to, many more. Yeah, that sounds about right. So Jetpack features. Yeah, there are just all kinds of things in here. It's more like a dozen plugins inside of one plugin. So that is one I would definitely check out for sure. I know that really hugely popular. Oh gosh, I should mention this one too. WP Super Cache, as far as caching content on your site to make it speedier, is super popular. You can see there's 1+ million active installs. That's crazy popular. I use it personally on a lot of projects. But another one that I know is really popular is Yoast SEO. If you're really concerned about your search engine optimization, there are so many configurations in this plugin that would probably require its own course in and of itself. But at the very baseline, it gives you more settings for your pages and posts and the site in general that allow you to make your website more search engine friendly that don't come in default WordPress. It's a very handy one. In fact, you can see it's just as popular as WordPress's own plugins. That's a big one. And I work with a company that has another popular plugin just called the Events, where is it? Calendar. And it's by a company called Modern Tribe, and a lot of people just like having a calendar, on, a front-end calendar where they can put post events, kind of like a Google Calendar of sorts. And this is that. So so that's a free plugin. It's I'm a little biased in saying it's rad. There are other calendar options as well. So just to be fair, there's like, I believe Event Espresso is another good one out there. Yeah, lots of integrations there. There are integrations with Eventbrite even, those types of things. So yeah, I mean, I would say that these are good types of plugins to be aware of at the very base. If you're going to be looking for plugins as a new WordPress user right out of the box, I would look performance first and then start looking at functionality. But really what matters to you is really what matters to the goals of the website, right? So you may not need a calendar on your website. So for that reason, any calendar plugin is going to be a moot point. But most sites care about performance and caching. So WP Super Cache would be a great one to look into. Social media sharing is a big one. So Jetpack, again, would be another great one. And then SEO, so Yoast SEO. I would say that those are probably the three big ones to look into when first getting into the plugin space. With that, any other questions?
Nope.
Cool. Man, that makes me feel super good, like actually accomplished something so awesome. I'm glad. I will be around in Slack if you guys have questions between now and the next session. If you're digging into WordPress and things can come up, Parker, I see you direct message me. I'll be sure to follow up with you for sure. And then Isaac, man, I always love hanging with you, dude. So thanks for showing up.
All right, thanks again. Yeah, you did a nice job there, Geoff. You take care.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care, and a belated happy New Year to you both.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Geoff.
Right. See you guys.